everybody, it's Laura, and welcome to the class of 74. It's another snow-filled edition, snowing again here in Connecticut, but we have a great show in store for you this week. I'm afraid I left you hanging at the end of Sea Wing with Cynthia seeing Evan and Katie out there in a very distressing manner. But we're going to find out what's going on here, and we're going to have some fun. So get ready to go a million miles away, and I'll see you on the other side. Season 2, Episode 3, How to Get Over It. After seeing Evan and Katie kissing outside, Cynthia bolted back to homeroom, where over the loudspeaker, Mr. Zollner was talking about a missing overhead projector. Mr. Bojanski had his back to the class, where in the corner by the blackboard he appeared to be having a serious conversation with Hank Smith, the wise ass, while the other Smith, Mimi's fashion club friend Kathy, used the opportunity of Mr. Bojanski's distraction to walk over a big black sketchbook to Mimi to show her something. Whatever Hank had done must have been serious, because he looked petrified as Mr. Bojanski repeatedly pointed his finger at him. Cynthia made a split-second decision. She darted over to grab her books off her desk and her purse off the back of the chair. She knew Betsy was watching her, so she kept her eyes down and fled the classroom. She turned left towards the intersection in case Evan was approaching homeroom from the right side. She did not want to see him. She did not want to see anyone. But when she turned left at the intersection, she saw the cafeteria homeroom of E through J must be unsupervised because the kids were all over the place. And there stood Annabel at the top of the cafeteria stairs, looking absolutely sensational in a long-sleeve brown suede zipper dress, brown stockings, and brown shoes. Oh, great. Did she know something about the weather Cynthia didn't? She who was wearing a sleeveless dress? Mimi's dress had long sleeves too, she remembered. Annabel was talking to some guy standing a couple of stairs below her. Annabel saw Cynthia and waved. The guy turned around. It was Kurt Randolph, the 10th grade football player who had changed so much over the summer. He said hi to Cynthia as she approached. He said he had to get to his homeroom. After Kurt went running off, Annabel looked Cynthia over and smiled in approval because she was Cynthia's loyal friend and would never want to hurt her feelings. Cynthia's appearance could use some improvement, she knew. Her hair was frizzy, her shoes hurt, she was sleeveless, her knee was blue, and she couldn't tell Annabel anything because it was too humiliating. And Annabel liked Katie, and Cynthia wanted to hate Katie, to blame her, but she knew Katie had only allowed Evan to kiss her because if she had been kissing him back, she would have had her arms around his waist, like Cynthia always did. "What's wrong?" Annabel asked, coming down a stair. "I can't go to Forest Hills." "Why not?" Overhead, Mr. Zollner was thundering on about how students were parking badly. "Did something happen to your dad?" "Oh, there was an out." "No, but I have a very bad feeling," Cynthia said. "I don't think I should go out of town. You should take Katie. She looks nice today. Skirt and blouse." Cynthia knew she was throwing Annabel for a loop. "But I want you to go. It's all set up. It'll make up for you standing Katie up on Friday." Katie would look so much better than Cynthia on TV. The cameras would probably zoom in on her. Annabel said, "Well, if you think..." Cynthia nearly ran down the hall, desperate to get away, to not have to say another word, just to get out. "But only because you're telling me to," Annabel called behind her. Down the hall, Cynthia banged out the door to the smoking area and walked quickly toward the playing fields. She turned left to go behind the gym and startled a group of boys who were huddled there. And then she smelled it. Pot. Don't worry, she told them. I didn't see anything. Then she veered sharply to the right, heading toward the baseball field. The bell rang, signaling the end of homeroom. Where could she go? She had study hall, but she couldn't wander around out here for no reason. Its back was to the school. She just needed a minute to calm down. She hurried toward the dugout, turned the corner, and went down the 2 concrete stairs. Oh, great. A couple was down here, all over each other, pausing only long enough for the guide to tell Cynthia to get out. Sorry. She took off. She was crying now, feeling very sorry for herself. She crossed the third base line, stumbling a little, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Great. There went her mascara. And her polished, too-tight shoes were coated with dust now. She took them off, and her peds, and stuffed the peds into her purse. Hey, Cynthia, wait up. Why wouldn't people just leave her alone? Oh, man, Not Fred said. You're not crying again, are you? Now what's the matter? My father had a heart attack, she said, thinking. Liar. But how else could she explain why she was walking around on the baseball field crying? Tell him she felt angry and jealous because she saw her old boyfriend kissing the new girl from California who was so much more attractive than she was? No way. Heart attack, Not Fred repeated. That's rough. No, it's not, she muttered, dropping her books on the ground to open her purse. Because I just lied. They thought he had a heart attack, but it turns out he didn't. Where the heck is my pack of Kleenex? He pulled a bandana out of his back pocket and held it out. I haven't even given you the last one back, she said, taking it. Thanks. That's good news, then, about your dad. She didn't look at him as she wiped her eyes and nose. But if you hate your father, he added, I guess it's bad news. Clearly he was looking for a reaction from her. She looked at him. It's good news. I love my father. Scared of him grounding me half the time, but I do love him. She didn't know what to do with the bandana, and Not Fred decided for her. He plucked it out of her hand and stuffed it into his back pocket. Not Fred was smaller than the boys she usually hung out with. None of them, she didn't think, get away with wearing what Not Fred was wearing. A dark green polyester shirt with a long pointed collar and McGregor red and green plaid bell bottoms, slightly lower hung, secured with a wide leather belt, and then those brown ankle boots. Somehow on him, the pants looked smart and hip, when on Evan they would look clowny and make a big guy like Teddy look fat. So why are you out here crying? The look of concern in Not Fred's big, beautiful green eyes touched her. Golly, but his features were perfect. His lips were a trifle too big for her taste, but she knew that wasn't true for other people. He batted the question out of the air. Never mind, I don't really want to know. I just came out here to ask if you want to go to the beach with me and Dee Dee. She's picking me up in the lower lot in a couple of minutes. What about school? He kicked his head in the direction of the lower parking lot. You should come. Plenty of room. I think there's only one other kid. And I've got money for gas and stuff. I'm not sure going for the whole day, but I can get you back into class if you want. He stepped closer to her and opened the notebook he was carrying. Inside was a pad of blank, pale yellow student passes, the kind the front office gave to kids to get back into class. Not Fred reached into his right front pocket to take out some crumpled yellow passes, stuck his notebook under his arm, and then with 2 hands smoothed the papers out on his thigh. Then he stepped next to Cynthia, holding out the passes for her to see. Dr. Eagleton had written them, she instantly recognized. One was made out for Frederick Cutter, dated yesterday, and bore Dr. Eagleton's dramatically loopy signature. The second was also dated yesterday, made out for Philip O'Brien, which Dr. Eagleton had also signed. "Where were you guys yesterday that you needed passes?" she asked him. "That doesn't matter. Not what matters is, which one's real?" She looked at the passes again. The handwriting looked pretty much identical. The one for Not Fred was a little messier, though, so she pointed to the one made out for Phil. "Wrong," Not Fred said gleefully. For a boy who is most often frowning, his smiles, when they came, were explosive, and he showed large, gleaming, perfectly straight white teeth. "That's the one I wrote, and Phil said it worked perfectly." Teacher didn't give a second glance, tossed it in the wastebasket. Cynthia was both aghast and thrilled. She was a witness to a major crime. Forgery. "How did you do it? Trace it or something?" "No, just practiced it a couple of times. I can draw." He smiled at the passes again, crumpled them, and stuffed them back into his front pocket. "Cartoons mostly. But I have a knack for flamboyant signatures, and Eagleton's a flamer if I ever saw one." Flamer? Cynthia thought. She supposed flamer could mean someone with a flamboyant signature. She'd never heard that, though. She'd have to look it up. "But if you want to come with us, we need to get going," he said, starting to walk. "Hey, the police blockades are gone," Cynthia noticed when she followed him. "They must have gotten what they needed. How's your friend, by the way?" "He still has the hand everyone was worried about. He had surgery." "That's good. But Clay's brother said no one's sure how much use of it he'll get back. But at least it's not his pitching hand." "Those sons of bitches," Not Fred muttered. Cynthia stopped walking. "There's something I have to tell you." He had his hand over his eyes, scanning the parking lot. "I see Dee Dee's car," he said, "but it doesn't look like anyone's in it yet." He lowered his hand. "What do you have to tell me?" "It's about the guys who hurt Clay." "What about him?" "I already told you what I think happened." "Yeah, you did, and I really appreciate it." Those eyes of his. How was she going to phrase this? "I passed the information you gave me to the police." Angel Boy's face turned to stone. "I had to. They've got to find out who did this to Clay." "But you didn't mention me, did you?" "No." She inwardly winced when he looked relieved. "But after I gave them the information, they said flat out, it was Fred Cutter who told you that. It wasn't a question. Somehow they knew it was you." "Who is they?" "Detective Fiducia." Fiducia. Not Fred rested abruptly around, jamming a hand in his pocket and holding his notebook out with the other, bending slightly, curling in the arm with the notebook, turning faster and faster, like he was preparing to throw a discus. Then he abruptly stopped, dropped his hands to his sides, and looked up at the sky. "Who else did you tell?" "Nobody else. Only Fiducia." "I had to," Not Fred, "because they need to be punished. They need to catch them." After a moment, Not Fred said, "Fiducia cleans my father's pool." "What?" He turned. "He has more kids than money, and he's a cop. So what's he going to do, steal it? So he cleans pools during the summer." Cynthia didn't know what to make of that, except Detective Fiducia was honest. "He said you were thrown out of Lawrenceville because of your association with that drug dealer in New York." He gave a sarcastic little laugh and walked around in a circle. "Sounds about right. I told him you were trying to help." Now Not Fred truly laughed. "And let me guess," he said, stopping. "Fiducia didn't buy it. He seemed more concerned about you knowing that I knew him." "Course he was, because he wants you to spy on me. Fiducia's got snitches all over the place. That's probably the reason he cleans pools, to eavesdrop and frame people and get them to snitch for him." "I don't think he's like that." she said honestly. Yeah, well, he wants me out of this town. That's for sure. You should stay away from me. He turned around to check out the lower parking lot. You're the only one who's been nice to me about Clay. More than anybody else has, that's for sure. She gestured, throwing her hand out, except maybe for Detective Fiducia. I see Dee Dee, he said, pointing. So if you're coming, we need to go. We've got to find a phone to call into the front office. You can be my stepmother, okay? Tell the lady in the office I have the stomach flu. Cynthia wondered if Mrs. Marsh would recognize her voice. Don't you need to put your shoes on, he asked her, to cross the parking lot? Yeah, maybe. She put them on, not bothering with the peds. When we get to the trees, he said, we need to duck. Okay? Okay. She followed him and did as he did. He was very light on his feet. Maybe he was a burglar as well as a forger. Someone had to steal that pad of blank passes. Maybe it was Phil, since he had used the first forgery. It's supposed to clear today, he whispered as they crept past the cars, staying low. Should be nice. Yes, the beach would be nice today. Her arms would get tan, and in this dress she could wade. She wondered which beach they were going to. They didn't want to be seen by anybody who knew them. They turned down the last line of cars and passed two more to reach Dee Dee's blue wagon. Not Fred stole up to the rear door and opened it a crack. Dee Dee? Hi, she whispered from the front seat. Cynthia's with me. Is that okay? Sure. Cynthia, Evan's voice said, his face appearing over the front seat. I thought you were going to Forest Hills. She was already in the car, and Not Fred was pushing up behind her. There's been a change in plans. Katie's going with Annabel instead. I thought we were sitting here waiting for Katie, Dee Dee said. We are, Evan said. Cynthia felt sick. We're taking the boat out, Evan continued. Cool, Not Fred said. Dad's selling the boat this weekend, so it's the last hurrah. Not cool, Not Fred said. Cynthia wanted to scream, and you're taking Katie instead of me? Then I guess I'm going to Forest Hills after all, Cynthia announced, opening her door and climbing out. Have fun. She slammed the door and marched back the way they had come. Oh, she heard Dee Dee say. Evan was saying something. Evan could take a flying leap. She was done. At the change of classes, Cynthia caught Annabel on her way out of her biology class. Annabel really did look stunning in her zipper dress. Hi. Annabel grabbed her by the arm. What is wrong with you? Why did you say it doesn't matter? Cynthia said. Well, Katie can't go, Annabel said. Katie's got better things to do, Cynthia thought. Like skip school with the cute guy she met first day and zoom around in his boat. No doubt Katie could water ski, too, and she would change into Cynthia's old bathing suit that was on the Whitaker's boat, wouldn't she? So Dr. Whitaker was already selling the boat. That couldn't be good. Why did she care? She thought of Mrs. Whitaker's face when she realized Evan had told her her secret. Secrets, plural. She liked Mrs. Whitaker. Well, she respected Mrs. Whitaker. She was way too reserved for Cynthia to feel close to her. Of course, now she knew why. Or maybe that was her personality, and displays of enthusiasm just weren't her thing. She was really, really smart. She invented an artificial joint, for Pete's sake. They had lived off her invention for years. Maybe Mrs. Whitaker could invent something else. She looked at Annabel. So can I still go? Annabel's face lit up immediately. Yes, you can go. Oh, I'm so excited. We're going. We're going to have so much fun. They were nearing the intersection and Cynthia pulled her to the side. Let's just wait a second until the intersection clears a little, okay? I can't be late to French. Mademoiselle Kuharczyk is really strict. Cynthia wondered if that's who caused not Fred to climb out of the window the first day. Annabel turned to her. What made you change your mind? I knew Katie wasn't going with you because she's skipping school with Evan. What? Yeah, they just left in Dee Dee Verhoeven's car. Who's Dee Dee Verhoeven? A senior who lives near those guys on Farwater Lane. They're taking the Whitakers' boat out. Dr. Whitaker's selling it this weekend. Why are they selling it? Evan loves that thing. Boy, was Annabel behind. She didn't know Dee Dee or anything about the Whitakers' problems. I'll catch you up, she promised. Wait a second, Annabel said suddenly, turning back around. Why is Katie skipping school with Evan? She shrugged. I think they're going to be going out. No way. Oh, wow. Are you okay? Annabel leaned closer. How's Clay doing? A lot's happened, but he's better. I'll catch you up on that, too. Okay, good. Then Annabel gave a shiver of excitement. We're going to have such a blast. Cynthia smiled. She felt a whole lot better now. Why do you have dirt on you? Annabel asked her. Look at your shoes. It's on your face, your arm. Have you been hiding in the woods or something? Well, no time to do anything about it now. Cynthia needed to get to guitar class. She didn't have the $30 she needed, but she better show up. So far, she'd missed every single class. She hurried to D-Wing and peeked into Mr. Smith's room on her way by, but she didn't see him. A couple of boys were watching someone welding something. Sparks were flying, and the guy under the hood and apron and goggles was probably Mr. Smith. When she reached the music room, the other kids were already sitting in a large semicircle and were taking guitars out of identical black nylon bags. These must be the $30 guitars. They were pretty. Light wood surface, dark wood on the back and neck. There was a decal decoration around the sound hole. Yes, very pretty. The teacher had carrot red hair and a very pale complexion. He was on the younger side, but the pale blue color of his scratchy-looking suit didn't suit him. It made him look so orange. He was also wearing beige tie hush-puppy shoes. Yikes. According to her schedule, his name was R. Coates. He was looking at her quizzically. You wouldn't happen to be the long-lost Cynthia Schuyler, would you? The way he said it made her laugh, and he smiled. Good, he was nice. Every time I've called your name, Tina would say. He turned to point at the girl that was also in Cynthia's English class, Tina, who knew everything. Oh, she'd say, Cynthia's here today. I saw her. Gee, thanks, Tina. So I never marked you absent. Lucky you. I kept thinking you'd walk through the door. She half grimaced a smile to Tina and gave her a little wave. My father had a heart attack, she told R. Coates with flaming red hair, and my schedule got all messed up. Oh, I'm sorry, he said. He's better now. It was more of a scare. Down in Washington, D.C., where my mother is right now, which is why I don't have the $30 check for you, for the guitar. We'll loan you one. Don't worry. Put your books down and come to the back. She did as instructed. She and Tina were the only girls in here. She didn't know any of these boys and smiled tentatively. Do you have any prior experience with guitar? He asked her. Once, when she was very little, her brother had given her a broken ukulele he found at the dump, which he nicely tied a string to so she could hang it around her neck and walk around and tell everybody she was famous. But the only thing she'd actually learned from the broken ukulele was how to kabong, ole, the living room couch cushions when her mother wasn't looking. Quick Draw McGraw had been one of her favorite cartoons as a kid. No, sir. I always wanted to, but my mother made me take piano. Can you read music? Yes. A quick smile. Every good boy deserves a favor. Good, he said. He picked up a guitar leaning against a cupboard. Its strap was colorfully embroidered, but the guitar itself was really banged up black. She sat down with the loner and watched Mr. Coates review the proper finger positions for C chord and G7 chord for the class. As a group, the class didn't look very with it. But Mr. Coates went merrily on his way, coming over to Cynthia to see if he could help get her started. He tried to manually place her fingers into position on the frets, but was having trouble. "Stop fighting me. Relax." Cynthia let her shoulders slump and her hand fell from the neck of the guitar. Mr. Coates looked at her askance. Then he pointed to the kid next door. "Look at Michael. See how he holds his guitar properly?" Oh, how Cynthia wished she was Michael. But she wasn't. And Mr. Coates said that with practice, she should be able to catch up with the class. And then he gave up. He walked to the front of the group where he picked up his guitar and sat down on a stool to face them. None of these kids were musicians, she could tell. There was not going to be any startling revelation of a musical genius who had only come to light in this guitar class. These kids were like her, interested in, but generally clueless about music as a discipline. They listened to the radio and danced and bought records and loved the idea of playing something cool like a guitar, but musically speaking, they were unoriginal and uneducated in the extreme. It would be a very different story if she could at least sing well, but even the desperate choir director at the Presbyterian church had encouraged Cynthia to only smile and mouth words. Musicians were made of different stuff than normal kids. In junior high, she had tried twice to be the girlfriend of one because it seemed kind of cool. The first tried to force her to listen to something called Captain Beefheart and His Magic Band while they made out in his basement, which started to freak her out because it was just so weird. So she got up and left his ID bracelet there too. The next boy was a better choice. A musician who was cute and could sing, and he had a band, but he was way over her head, urging her to widen her horizons in music, that she had to leave the Beatles behind to explore themes of paganism and the macabre and psychedelia in progressive folk and rock. While she didn't mind listening to something like Diana by the new British group Comus, she did mind feeling stupid, so that relationship ended very quickly too. No, she wasn't a good girlfriend for a musician. Mr. Coates had brought up one hush puppy to rest on a peg of the stool and strummed his guitar a few times, and then did a neat job of picking strings unbelievably fast, showing off, no doubt, and doing so beautifully. When he was done, she clapped. Michael looked at her like she had 3 heads. Mr. Coates announced because they had mastered C chord and G7, they could play an entire song now. They were all going to play Clementine. Cynthia laughed out loud. Was this a swinging class? Clementine? But she saw that Mr. Coates was having a hard time rousing enthusiasm for this adventure. So she said, "Wow, with only 2 chords?" "Yes," he said brightly. "All right, everyone, hands in the C chord position. The count will be 3 measures of C chord and then 1 of G7, like this." He demonstrated, strumming 1, 2, 3. Then after that, we alternate between C and G7 with every count, like this. He demonstrated again. Everybody looked completely confused. "Okay, let's begin. Clementine." "In a cavern, in a canyon," Mr. Coates sang all by himself, "excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Nobody was singing because no one but Mr. Coates apparently knew the words. But the students were trying, strumming their hearts out, but they sounded just awful. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine, thou art lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. What the hell happened to Clementine? Michael grumbled. How could she already be lost? We haven't even met her. Cynthia started laughing again. Michael stopped strumming and looked at her. Listen to this racket. While Mr. Coates was singing and strumming nicely, everybody else was a twinging and a twanging, misplaying chords, putting fingers in the wrong frets. It was all just a mess, like she was in like a fairy. Her shoes were number 9. Bigfoot's been found, Michael declared. Mr. Geesley, Mr. Coates said, stopping dead with a loud thump of his hand on the body of his guitar. Cynthia was bending over her guitar, trying not to let people see that she was laughing. The class sounded like a gang of guitar burglars falling down the stairs. Michael swallowed. Yes, Mr. Coates? Mr. Coates said, enunciating carefully, shut up. On the class struggled. Oh, brother, what a song! Cynthia didn't think she'd ever heard the lyrics before. Clementine's devoted lover describes how Clementine, carrying an open boxes of herring, lost her balance, fell into the river, and drowned. Then her lover kissed her sister and forgot all about Clementine. Oh, wow. All in all, the introduction to guitar experience had vastly improved Cynthia's mood. Only one more class before they could leave for Forest Hills. Spanish with the Senora. When she entered the classroom, Senora Cordova smiled, but then did a little double take. With a furrow in her brow, walked up to Cynthia. It is a nice dress. I'm going to Forest Hills to see the women's tennis final, she told her. Billie Jean King and Rosie Casals. That's very nice. The teacher looked around to see if anyone was listening. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. You need to brush your hair and your mascara's running, and you've got dirt. Oh, ay. Look at those shoes. Cynthia looked down. Her ankles and feet were all dirty from the baseball diamond. She felt her face burn. She was so embarrassed. Go to the ladies' room, Sita. Take your time and wash up. Your face, wipe your shoes, brush your hair. That's a very pretty dress on you, and we can't have you looking anything less than your best. Entiende, mi amiga? Cynthia was so embarrassed she could die. She was a mess in a dress. She took her purse and walked out of the classroom, depressed. Well, she wasn't going to be invited to the fashion club, was she? In the girls' room, she couldn't believe what she looked like. She was covered with dust. She took off her shoes and walked to the big round alien spaceship group sink, pressed the bar for water, and submerged her face. She needed paper towels and dripped her way over to them. It didn't matter. She had it all over her dress. It would dry before Forest Hills. She wet paper towels and started wiping down her legs, and then more wet towels to do her arms. Girls came in and stared at her. Slowly but surely, she was getting clean. She leaned over to vigorously brush her hair upside down, then she stood up and brushed it down. Much better. She got her fingernail file out to clean under 3 of her nails. Okay, finally. She smoothed her dress and made an honest assessment of herself in the mirror. She remembered when Katie called her bosomy and smiled a little. She still felt sick about Evan and Katie, but she'd get over it. She had Clay. She said a little prayer for him in her head. Okay, done. She was as good as she was going to get. The shoes were like night and day, so that was good. And now she had her peds on, she wouldn't sweat in them. She walked into Spanish class, and while a kid was conjugating verbs at the chalkboard, all eyes moved to her. Senora Cordova was smiling and nodding. Okay, good. She must look okay. She knew she was blushing, but that would give her color in her face, so that was okay. Class was over at 11, and Cynthia exited B wing by the fire exit and walked quickly and with confidence to the front office. Now she was excited. She was going to the open. Who knew who they might meet? Maybe she'd get Billie Jean King's autograph. When she entered the building through the door from the smoking area, Annabel and Mimi were right there, coming up the hall toward her, looking so stylish and beautiful in their outfits. They beamed at each other, and Mimi giggled. How cool are we? Let's pose for the Cedar Comets for a second. The three turned to pose for an imaginary picture in the doorway. Who knew if anyone had seen them? They went upstairs and turned right into the front office. As usual, there were a line of students, but the principal appeared, Dr. Mullen, and he waved Cynthia to come forward. I hear you're going to Forest Hills, he said. I hope so, she said, eyebrows high, half expecting him to tell her she couldn't go for some reason. I understand you had quite a scare with your father yesterday, and that this is a celebratory trip for you girls, that you're using your parents' tickets. She nodded. Yes, sir. We're very excited, and I'm really, really grateful that my dad's going to be okay, and that you gave us permission. He pointed to the front desk. You need to sign the book. Mrs. Fitzgerald is taking responsibility for you girls after you leave the premises. Yes, sir. She started edging away. Bypass the line and sign out. Mrs. Marsh, I'm having the girls sign out so they can get on their way. Mrs. Marsh nodded and pushed the registrar notebook to the end of the counter. Cynthia waved Annabel and Mimi up, and they signed the book. Cynthia S. Schuyler. Out 11/13, September 15th, 1971. Her signature. That wasn't loopy. The girls waved bye to Dr. Mullen and walked to the front door. As promised, there was Annabel's older brother, Greg, leaning back against the Fitzgerald's new Buick. He was wearing gray flannels, a pale blue dress shirt, and his navy blue Duke School blazer with the emblem, his school tie, and black shiny loafers. He even had a tie clip and handkerchief in his breast pocket. Greg was about 6 feet tall and pretty big, as in muscular hockey big. And he was cute, but his face had been rearranged a little. Do you play hockey, Mimi? Greg joked as he looked at her broken nose. Car accident. Smash, she said, socking her hand. Do I know you? Maybe not, Greg said. I've been in private school for a while. Why doesn't Annabel go to private school? Because she's not a young gentleman, he told her. He got hit in the head with a puck too many times, Annabel told Mimi. She opened the passenger seat door. Here, you sit in the front and get to know Greg. Cynthia saw Greg's eyes run over Mimi's body. It was strange to see a boy look at Mimi that way. But Greg was a good guy. He'd never do anything creepy. The only question would be, did Mimi want to talk about hockey morning, noon, and night? They got into the back seat. Greg just got back from Bobby Orr's hockey camp in Canada, Annabel said to Mimi. Who's Bobby Orr? Mimi asked. Cynthia and Annabel looked at each other. Greg was taking off his blazer and opened Annabel's door to grab a hanger that was there. Oh no, Annabel wailed. I don't want that thing hanging in my face. Cynthia leaned over. It's okay, Greg. You can hang it on this side. I'm used to it. Good old Cynthia, Greg said, walking around the car. He opened her door and Cynthia took the hanger from him. Man, Greg said, what's going on? It's a cop car. They turned around to look. A police car was approaching with its lights flashing. It passed them. After the cop car parked in front of them, Greg hurried around the car and got in. No siren, just flashing lights. The passenger side door opened, and Detective Fiducia climbed out. Cynthia's heart skipped. The detective opened the back door and held it as Evan reluctantly climbed out. "Isn't that your boyfriend, Cynthia?" Greg asked. "Oh my God, it's Katie," Mimi cried as Katie slowly climbed out behind Evan, pulling her skirt down. Annabel was hitting Cynthia's leg. "Oh my God, oh my God." Evan and Katie stood there glumly while Detective Fiducia shut the door and the door on the other side of the cop car opened. Not Fred was climbing out. "They got caught skipping school," Annabel marveled. "Busted," Greg said dramatically and started the car. "We better get out of here." Detective Fiducia had waved Evan and Katie on toward the school and then held his arm out toward Not Fred, waiting for him to catch up. "Wow," Phoebe said, eyes on Not Fred. "I want him in my fashion club. He's gorgeous." "I think he's probably toast," Cynthia said. Aha, that's what you get, Evan and Katie. No one should be mean to Cynthia. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? I enjoyed writing it, I'll tell you that much. That guitar class it was real, shall we say. Please remember that we do have the Detention Club at Patreon. That's the Class of 74 at Patreon. We're not talking about the specific episodes anymore because everybody's in all different places in the series. But we can talk about generalities of what people like and what they don't like. So really, please do come. It seems like a cocktail party since some of the members are sipping a cocktail during it. And we're just sort of talking about what life used to be like and what it's like now. And it's really kind of interesting. And I must say, it's very helpful to me to hear people talking about their high school days. And it's a lot of fun. As I said, the people who belong to the Patreon Club are the nicest people in America. So come join us. That's the Class of 74 at patreon.com. Okay, everybody, that concludes this week. If you feel so inclined, please give us a rating wherever you get your podcast and leave a comment. It helps everybody find us. And I thank you again because this is just a wonderful experience for me. All right, that's it. I want you guys to have a fabulous week. I want you to be safe and happy. And if you're not, just wait to see us next week and we'll improve your mood like we improved Cynthia's mood, didn't we? Just remember, we don't drink and drive anymore, ever, but we do have fun. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.